Hey, what's up? It's your boy Bobby Sapphire, and time for another episode of KTOD Radio. I'm here with Justin. Wild week in KTOD land.
Yeah, and we're recording a little later. I overslept today, so Mike's mad at me. But yeah, wild week of SWU, wild week of KTOD, really. Like
Yeah, for
SWU,
sure.
but also we're putting our wildness onto the map as well with stuff you see here on the index.
And how are you holding up, Steve, after your long weekend of doing KTOD activity?
I'm feeling good right now. I mean, when I got home last night, I was in rough shape.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I was completely hungover yesterday after two and a quarter glasses of wine was pretty sus. But no, it all went well. Now I'm back on the grind. Got a little yeah, just doing it, doing the thing.
grinding. Yeah, when you said
Grinding it out.
you were hurting after dinner on Friday night, I was like, oh boy, he's getting old. Can't keep up with me anymore. Can't keep up with me anymore.
I don't know
Well,
how did you win last? That's like, wow.
Mike, you did Friday night KTOD dinner. We're going to talk about the draft hang that was all Saturday. It was more than just a hang for you, though. It was a whole lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And now we got the Sunday KTOD pod. So you had the long weekend of KTOD.
Yeah, it was an all KTOD weekend. But we'll get started with why one of our members isn't here. Oh wait, there we go. I think I did the wrong slide order. But there you go. There's KTOD Matty wearing a KTOD t-shirt in the delivery room with his new daughter, Camille Jade.
New member of the KTOD. Congrats to Matty. It was funny. I thought about him wearing the shirt in the delivery room beforehand. I was like, I wonder if he's gonna show the shirt. Is he gonna do content? Is he gonna say, um, you know, this delivery is the best delivery and post content I've ever seen? But no, in all seriousness, congrats to Matty. That's great.
Yeah, I'm halfway surprised he didn't live stream it in the Discord. I could see him
Congrats
doing
to
that.
your new
Niece?
uncle shit.
Yeah.
Your first niece, right?
No, second niece by birth, and then fourth by way of adoption.
Right.
But yeah, my ninth niece or nephew. So
wow,
I'm a full-time uncle as well.
Yeah, you have big uncle responsibilities.
Uncle Mike.
Yep, Uncle Bobby. So if you haven't been checking out,
my boys call you Uncle Mike too. So
that's true. Yours do, and my buddy Sean's do as well. Call me Uncle Mikey. So this is what we've been up to on the K2D YouTube channel. If you're listening, you could check us out. Lots of set 3 meta stuff, some set 4 stuff, and just getting into this is a weird time. It's the holiday season, so things will be a little slower for the competitive meta, and then also PQ season is still like almost a full month away. So it's going to be a real time of exploration, I think, for Star Wars Unlimited. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's sort of the calm before the storm. You have that first wave, that sort of cycle of okay, new set, release. There's new decks that pop up, like the Django obviously popped up, Anakin. We're seeing a little bit more Cad Red now. Sort of things are sort of crystallizing of these are the decks that you're probably going to want to prepare for. And if you're playing them yourself, you want to sort of make sure you've got that perfect 50 and that perfect 10 of the sideboard. Because once PQ season starts, there's more this season, so you can kind of go. You'll talk about your schedule, Mike. You can kind of go I'm going to play this weekend, and then the next weekend, and then the next weekend. So you really want to be prepared. So I don't necessarily think you're going to see a ton of lists coming out the next couple of weeks, especially with the holidays coming up. But I think there's certainly space to practice and play and grind like Steve's doing, and sort of find that list that really speaks to you and get reps with it.
Yeah, man, I've been exploring this whole time. I got to stop exploring, if anything. I think I got to prep for my next tournament, which is going to be in January. Looking forward to. Justin and I were just talking before the call about he's just build Sabine, physically build it in real life. Then you won't have any excuses. So that's going to be my plan.
Yeah, fair enough.
Got a month to do it.
I think the next 2 weeks for me are going to be some real exploration. I've been playing like a lot of Palp. I've been playing a lot of Han 2 Mono Red. And I really want to narrow down a couple more lists just to find like 5 or 6 lists that I feel really comfortable with and that I can hone
Right.
throughout PQ season so that depending on which way the meta is going, I can shift to control aggro, mid-range, etc. and just find ways to sort of anticipate what I'm going to face and push through because I should be at a lot of events and we were blessed in New England this time with tons of PQs, so we're going to be able to play like every weekend. If not
Yeah, and
twice
that's
a
what I'm
weekend.
doing. For
Can't
Action
wait.
Cop, we've got the curated deck channel where I've got my top 5. You guys have Steve's got his top 5 too. You, Mike, you're doing yours sort of a little bit differently in the organization. But what I'm currently doing is I have a list of sort of like a power rankings, almost like you'd see on ESPN of like, oh, the Celtics are #1 and like the Cavaliers are #2, whatever, and it shifts. I've got that going, and I'm actually building those decks physically. And sort of thinking about, so right now, currently, spoiler alert, I have Sabine #1 for me. No surprise, but
Shocker.
I really like Django too. So like that's my #2, right? And like I'm updating it, I'm thinking about like what it needs to be to beat, the other decks that might be there, and just sort of having that list, and then also having those decks built, right? So I have a long box, getting those decks built. I'm actually updating my red CAD right now this morning. And just like sort of being prepared. So it was like, oh, we're going to this tournament. All right, here's my gauntlet. Matty did a gauntlet video a few weeks ago. So just really having it like this game, it's like you've only got 3 sets. So building decks isn't like super, super hard, especially if you've got like a deck limit of 3 for cards. So you can build a couple different decks and sort of be ready to go at any time.
Yeah, I've got 5 full 60s built right now, and the only thing that's preventing me from having a 6th one is vigilance and needing vigilance in too many of my decks.
I can give you some vigilance.
Yeah, I was
I
going to
actually
ask you,
ordered-
but I didn't want to take your mono Blu-ray ability away. But maybe Justin wants me to take your mono Blu-ray ability
Yeah,
away, so you can
take
just
them
play
away
Sabine.
from-
So I'll just take all the blue cards.
I
Fair
ordered
enough.
9 R2s the other day. I was like, R2s in all my decks. I'm going to order 9. I've already got 3, so I ordered 9 R2s just for that same reason, like so I don't just keep switching them back and forth between decks.
Yeah, the starter deck R2.
Yep.
Yeah, nice. And then even though KTOD Matty is on paternity leave, he should still be updating his personal. And if this is what he's been up to in the personal, our boy Symbiote, who we flew up for the KTOD Hangout, has been crushing it on all Matty's thumbnails, including this insane Ted Lasso one. I don't even know what to think about this one. I don't know what nationality Matt looks like in this picture, but it's like there's like so many things going on. He just doesn't look like himself. It's weird.
Yeah, something happened. He's weird. That the hair like being all slicked. Maybe it's just the fact that he's not wearing a hat. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that. Maybe it is that. And all the hair.
Maybe
it's like hair transplant mode. Yeah, true. All right. So big news for us. We are giving away 2 streamer sets of MetalFAB tokens. Those are the big ass honkin' tokens. I have the sets right here.
Yeah, those are sweet.
They're insane. I've been using them. I used them at the draft hangout yesterday. I'll do some more pictures. But here's the deal. Next week, in 2 weeks for the podcast, we're going to do a mailbag episode. I don't know. We might do a regular podcast, but then do an additional mailbag segment that will be our Monday video. Either way, you have until December 20th to send in the mailbag form with your name, email address, and a question for us to read on the podcast. Everyone who sends in an entry, 1 per person, will get put into a lottery, and we'll give away 2 streamer sets, and you get to pick your initiative token as well. So make sure you fill that out on the form. Whatever initiative token you want. I happen to have like the Republic and Empire one here.
I've got mine. Hold. This is a sick one for anyone who plays with their kids. You got the father-son.
Yep, Django Boba one. Yep, that one's on there.
And they're like heavy, like they're solid.
Yep. So if you're looking on the screen now, there's pictures of them like what they look like on a Quinlan Voss showcase, which is pretty sweet, and then how the damage looks like on the base. I really love these, and I was using them a ton this weekend, and just for all my games.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed the big ones that you had on there yesterday. Like from sitting a table away from you and still being able to know how many damage Justin had on your base when we were team drafting.
Yeah, and they're called streamer sets because they look good on camera, but they also are just so heavy and fun that they look kind of awesome. And I've gushed about the shield tokens from MetalFAB in the past, and the larger ones are just even better. So it's hard for me to give these streamer sets away. I kind of want to keep them, but I will give them away as I have promised to do. So that's our MetalFAB contest, and this podcast is sponsored by MetalFAB. So shout out to BFlow and MetalFAB for continually hooking us up and hooking up the community. Yep. This is not our first MetalFAB giveaway, so we will continue to do so. And of course, like, he designed and produced our amazing coins alongside, Steve, who designed a lot of that coin. Yep, Steve's got it there. I mean, it's just sick.
There it is, right there.
Sick product.
The coin that's taken over the world or the galaxy. You see that coin everywhere. You turn on a stream of across the overseas stream, you see the coin. You go to down to Georgia, I think, or Florida. There was one. You see the coin. The coin's everywhere.
Yeah, and
it's rising in value against the dollar just as we speak.
Right.
Yeah, we need to do a KTOD cryptocurrency soon.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? We were
blocking it.
Did you? I don't want to get into a sidetrack, but I heard, I don't know if this headline is real, but the Hawk Tuah girl made a crypto and then she pulled it and just basically scammed people. I don't know if that's real or a fake headline, but it's crazy.
No, she I thought. Well, I guess I didn't check it either. What is it? What was her coin called? It was
I don't know.
Yeah, it was another.
Any out there and do blockchain, we reach out to us. Let's get this really cranking. Some Imperial credit going.
All right. So the big news for us this week is we held the second KTOD draft hangout at Bay State Brewery. We had 28 people show up. They got a free draft on us. We gave everyone a KTOD playmat just for coming. No charge.
Poster.
Everyone got a poster. I signed a bunch of posters, which I wasn't mentally prepared to do, but I signed a bunch of posters. We wore the sunglasses. Steve's got the Thrawn shades on right now. The Thrawn shades are absolute fire. I got the Mando shades, which are the opposite of fire, but I had to get the Mandalorian ones because of Jango and Boba.
Yeah, hold on.
My spirit leaders.
Fell into my R2 world, but I'm jealous of Steve with Thrawn.
Steve's definitely got the best ones.
I get the best ones, but I'm the only one that can pull them off, baby. These big sunglasses. Woo.
Yeah, those look fire.
These are gonna look great by the pool in Vegas. I'm just saying.
Mike, I'll order us Vegas Thrawn glasses.
I was looking today, actually. The Anakin ones that flip up are also on sale for $60, down from $140.
They're all slashed 50% to 60% off, which is great.
Yeah, I kind of love those R2 flips, but the Thrawns are just too cool. But even though these kind of look whack in the pictures, looking at me on camera right now, I'm kind of digging them. But in the pictures, they don't look so good. Yeah, I love.
But the draft tag was insane. The fact that everyone got a mat for showing up, it was just come get a mat. If you look at some of the pictures that show the tables, everyone had the mats out. It was really cool to walk by and see 8 mats at an 8-person draft pod that all said KTOD, and people were grabbing food, and Bay State Brewery was super accommodating of our pretty big and wild crew, and the food was happening, people were laughing, they were gaming. It was a really sick time. Everyone was wearing KTOD shirts. I got the Casheteer one on right now. It was just an awesome time.
I was thinking about it too on my ride home. So I had a 2-hour ride back to the Cape last night. It was really fun because even though we're a competitive podcast and the three of us have competed in everything from sports to cars to whatever throughout the course of our life, it was just a hangout. It was going to a tournament and there was no pressure to do well. It was just having fun, having drinks. The fact that there wasn't that pressure to compete was really appealing to me on my end, at least. I mean, that's probably just because I keep O2 dropping, but a whole other story.
Yeah, well,
everyone got the sickest prize, in my opinion, is the mat, and everyone walked away with a mat, which is just sick. So
yeah, and we had people come. I think Grand Admiral Patrick came the farthest. He came from Maine. over 2 hours.
Wow.
So he was able to hang out and get
Awesome.
back for his son's concert, his college concert, which was awesome. Just like a very chill couple hours draft, like free draft on us. No showcases open this time. Sadly, I was really hoping someone would get a showcase. We saved a bunch of boxes from our cases that didn't have showcases in them, and we're definitely hoping that they would get ripped. So maybe next time, because actually, hold on. I had there's a close up of the mat that we gave out. Really sick. KTOD mat. Here's some more pictures of Justin had that really cool effect he did on his camera for those pictures. I thought were really cool. There's Steve taking off his shirt. I wasn't going to include that one, but I had to.
Oh my, we're working out.
My back looks so small there.
Looking good, but also that just it encapsulates how much space we had. I think we had like 7 or 8 tables, including the high tops, probably even more, all in this one corner of a brewery. That's in an ice rink in Worcester, and tons of people were coming through looking like, what the heck is going on here? And if you've ever played a tournament in a public spot, you probably know what that life is like. But I think it just
reminded
shows
me
the
back
expanse.
in the day of tournaments at Treasure Chest.
Yeah, the Greendale Mall. Yep. Oh yeah, people walking through the food court.
A Magic PTQ that was overbooked, and they played into the hallway, and it was the weekend of. It was a Saturday, but it was the weekend of Pat's Ravens AFC Championship, and Jim Nantz was staying at the hotel because it was in Providence. Walked by, looked at the game, just stood there, stared at us with awful disdain. What the fuck is this? Why are you?
It's too bad he didn't just start announcing.
I know, he plays a Goblin guy.
Oh, and Liliana with the -2.
Tony Romo's there too. This could be it, Jim. This could be the game. Goblin guy, turn 1.
What was the Magic event we were wearing?
His trench coat, his big winter coat. They were clearly going probably to Foxborough, I imagine. It was a wild time. Me and Jason were sitting there that was Jim Nantz.
What was the Magic event we were at the Heinz when Obama was doing a speech there too the same day?
Oh,
that was nuts.
Probably GP.
Yeah,
Boston.
I think it was GP Boston, the limited one.
Boston, yeah, the coordination scheduling of that was insane.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That's wild.
All right, so if you're interested in a KTOD hangout, we're going on the Road to Worlds World Tour. We are going to be having these hangouts at SCG Atlanta, at the New York City 4K PQ, at the San Francisco PQ, at the London PQ, at Adepticon, and it's a long road to Worlds. Are we going to add dates? Do you want us to come to your town? Do you have a thriving community of KTOD subscribers? Hit us up. We need point people on the ground in these locations to help us find venues and get people coordinated. So if you know of people in your area and you want to do this, hit us up. We'd love to add more dates. This takes us through March, and the Worlds is in July. So we have plenty of time to make a couple more stops.
Yeah, and so this one obviously was close to us, so we kind of handled all of it. The London PQ, you can see that one right now. I'm actually been communicating with Ivo, who's been super gracious and has been looking at venues and thinking about how it's all going to work. We're all going to be in London, bringing the mats to everyone who comes, all the subscribers who are able to come, getting people posters. We're going to have a different poster for each event, which is really exciting. Kind of matching. This one was a sort of a take on the Led Zeppelin concert poster, sort of an iconic image. We're going to try to get more ones sort of unique to these. Maybe we'll do a sort of Southern Hospitality one for the Atlanta one, maybe some Beatles for the PQ. So we'll kind of get the excitement brewing, but really it's, having a point person on the ground in the community to say, all right, we found this great spot for you. This is what it's going to look like, and then we basically bring the party to you. So we bring the draft, we bring the hangs, and it was awesome. I can't wait to get out and see all the various communities too. We see the screen names inside the Discord, and you see the little icon, but to actually meet people, we saw the great pictures. It's going to be pretty sweet to hit the community, these different communities, and see what we do in April, May, June as we get closer to Worlds.
Yeah, and these will probably have RSVP forms as we get closer to the events. So just hit us up in the Discord because we might have a cap at other locations. We don't have the freedom of borrowing a whole brewery
right.
necessarily. And then don't sleep on that last one, the Galactic Championship in Las Vegas. Yes, we will be hanging out with everyone in Las Vegas. We have a special Worlds mat that
Yeah, that one's
everybody is
insane.
going to get. We are expecting to have to print maybe 1,000 mats, but we are dedicated to that final Road to Worlds hangout in Vegas with a special, stamped and dated mat to commemorate
Yep,
the
Stanton. I was
first
going to say
Galactic Championship.
this mat is so sick, but it's fighting for second place amongst the mats. The world mat is
Do we
firmly
know where
entrenched.
the rendezvous is going to be at the Galactic Championships?
No, I will figure it out. The thing is, like, if we legitimately have 1,000 people there, I don't know
We're
where
going to
we're
have to
gonna
run
go.
this.
We're just gonna have to like hang out at the con, you know.
It's going to be,
Um,
we'll rent out like a rave space. What's a Burning Man? We'll just get in the desert.
yeah.
We
So
just rent out high for the night.
yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what the Venetian can do for us. Luckily, we have our awesome travel agent on the ground coordinating with us, and he's been awesome. With the 6-string on my back has been really hooking us up. So that's the Road to Worlds, and hopefully we'll see you at these stops. Hopefully you hit us up because you want one of these in your town, and then we'll absolutely see you in Las Vegas in July. All right, Justin, me and Steve already talked about these, but we got to get your take on the Set 4 mechanic of piloting.
I love it. From the old Star Wars CCG throwback, right? Like a great pilot. I saw the Falcon, and I said to myself, "Wow, it can hold two pilots." Like the Super Falcon was such an iconic thing that happened in Star Wars CCG for like a really long time. Like the Super Falcon was like one of Lightside's best things. You put Han on it. You'd actually put Leia on it. It was the best pilot, actually, the
You said
second
the
best
same
pilot.
thing?
Yeah, we
Let's
talked about it.
go!
So that's like really, really cool. I like the concept of a couple things. I like the sort of thematic concept of like these ships can actually have a pilot on it now. Like if you think about like Red 3, um, like is Biggs on it or is he not? Right? Like is this the ship? And now you might be able to put a pilot on it and like okay, you get to jam it. That's cool. And then the other thing that I like is even though set 3 does have certainly has some really powerful cards, it didn't change a ton, right? Like the Boba banning probably changed the most. And then Django is like really, really good. But you don't see like just decks filled with set 3 cards.
Yeah, or
And like
or based around the mechanics of coordinate /
right, like
exploit.
you didn't see like a huge power creep here essentially. And in looking at the spoilers for set 4, like that Chewie comes to mind. There's some other really powerful cards. So it's kind of like, wow, these cards, they're in the starter set and they're this powerful. Like what's like the bomb, like the Poe equivalent? You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't think the most powerful cards are going to be the starter cards. So if the starter cards are already that powerful, like what can we expect to see? Like I'm really excited to see like a super powerful kind of pushed set. I think it's time.
We got to get
That
some
they, that they
inserts.
that they get some stuff going on.
Yeah, and obviously, like everyone and their second cousin has been commenting, like, "Oh, confiscate, it's gonna blow you out," and like, yeah, that may be true, but confiscate blows out tons of things, and I don't know, Darksaber is doing pretty well. One thing that these leaders that flip into upgrades do is, the attached unit becomes a leader unit, which is a pretty interesting way. It certainly inoculates you against a lot of the stuff that would normally blow out a non-leader unit. So that's pretty interesting. There are obviously some cards like Bamboozle and Confiscate and Fang Fighter and Power Failure that could really, disrupt this. But I think that's just, in the competitive world, that's just one thing we have to consider when we decide what we're doing with these leaders and if we're even going to play them. So, and like anything, is this the meta for a piloting leader? Like, can we find a deck that's good in this meta that has a piloting leader? So, I think that there's a lot of interesting dynamics to it, but it certainly makes for really interesting evolution of gameplay, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think like there's always hate to cards. FFG's definitely brought out. Like you think it's scanning officer, people said, "Oh, scanning officer is going to stop smuggle in set 2," and smuggle is like one of the best things that they've done power wise, like with Tech and all those, Tech DJ and Blaster and all those really powerful smuggle cards. So you almost never see Scanning Officer played. So I do think you'll see Confiscate, but like there's definitely ways to still get value. Like if they claim or something happens or they have to do all their things, and then you sort of snowball your slow roll your upgrades. I don't really see it being too big an issue.
Yeah, and they did say that there are things on the way that make these leaders elevate to the level of some of the other stronger leaders. One of those things is implied the rotation. This A with the arrow around it, that's not the symbol on your car with that stupid mechanic that makes your car shut off at lights. This is a rotation. This is a rotation symbol that, presumably. I mean, I don't know if this is possible if they would rotate before Worlds, but if they did rotate before Worlds and they made it so like only A and B like only A sets route or whatever the fifth set gets is legal, then there wouldn't be any confiscate and there wouldn't be any bamboozle presumably. So I think it's way too early when we only have 10 cards or whatever for people to like start losing their minds over confiscates and stuff. But it's not like the designers didn't know. So let's just see what they have planned. I do know that this Chewbacca is insane, and I freaking love it.
Yeah, that Chewie is nuts with his big fist, ready for warfare.
Let's go.
Yeah, I am hyped for Chewbacca. I'm hyped for more Boggles type cards. Just you can't interact with me. I'm gonna slam this in your face, and I hope you can race me. You probably can't. But I'm just excited to see also what pilots. Like, think of all the cool characters we've had in the game. Or not in the game, but in the movies. Like, we're going to have a Luke pilot, right? We're going to have a Vader pilot. Like, are they going to give us the Black Squadron pilots? Are we going to get Sunter Fell finally? Are we going to get, like, crazy Jedi pilots?
Like a Han pilot. Like, you're the leader, but, like, a Han, just a unit pilot would be sick.
Yeah, and
like a Captain Han Solo.
This mechanic is so cool that, like, you could get it like in later sets. There's nothing preventing them from being like, oh, we're throwing a pilot in this set, because there's always vehicles, So I don't know. I'm hyped. We could get the other bounty hunters. I don't know who else. Who else is a cool pilot? We could get like Hobby. Some. We could get Zev Sineska. How deep can we go?
There's gonna be like
Hobby
counterplay to this too at some events. Like there's gonna be like sort of like a Talon roll type card, like a takedown, magic, like sort of like a plummet type of thing. Like there is going to be some stuff that says like target a vehicle and do X to it. Obviously, Chewie would like stop some of those things, but maybe there's like a no good to me dead that costs 1 on like a ship, right? Something like that. I think I'd be surprised if they just sort of let these pilots just go and sort of power creep everything. I think it'll be more than just confiscate. I think there'll be some really interesting counterplay of like, oh, you know what? I could play this Chewbacca on my A-Wing right away, but if my opponent has, super laser shot or it's a trap or something like that, it could blow me out, and maybe I should just wait to play the Chewie on the ground, and like that's an actual like decision point. I would wager that that's actually what it's going to look like.
Yeah, and even just as a 5/6 that can't be bounced. We talk about how bounce just blows out these high cost units that don't come in and affect the board right away, but you can't bounce this guy, so he is going to, unless they kill him with with other units, is going to be able to untap and attack. And they could come up with even more mechanics, like we saw in Star Wars CCG, like the open vehicle rules, right? Like there could be a card that lets these guys deploy as leaders when their vehicle dies. Like there could be a leader who lets them do that. There's so many ways that they can take this that I'm interested to see what they do, and I'm not jumping the gun on like complaining about anything.
Yeah, Campy Bounce is interesting to see like how much they're looking at their own our own competitive results.
Yeah,
like how far back the design matches, because like Bounce is certainly something that I think is probably more powerful than they thought it would be. Like Waylay and Cutting and all those cards, and like you see some of the protection cards, like Lurking TIE Phantom, for instance, can be bounced. Like, was that intentional? They left that sort of weak spot, or they think like, yeah, bounce actually isn't that big, and now you're starting to see some things on cards like, oh, can't be bounced, because they maybe were looking at when they designed this Chewie, were they looking at like the Boba meta where you were just bouncing everything, right? And like it's curious to see. I know they have different like cycles when they do design, but like how much they control um, to sort of impact the meta with set design too.
Yeah. I was just thinking like how good this Fet's Fire Spray is with ECL. Like just take 4 indirect and then you get hit by it. You can resolve the ambush first, so you can like kill something, and then the indirect goes to their base or something else.
Underworld for Cad Bane too.
Yep.
Pretty sick card.
The art on that Falcon's pretty sweet too.
Yeah, the art looks
Rebel.
good. Yeah, Rebel Falcon.
Love that.
Rebel Falcon 3-drop. That's just heroic. Yeah. These are hype. I'm really hyped for the new set. I mean, I hate looking at spoilers before when we have competitive events going on, but it's a weird situation where there's no competitive events for like a month, so I'm gonna allow some spoiler hype in my heart. But once January rolls around, I'm out on set 4, boys. I am only set 3, Bobby.
Let's go. Let's win it. Let's win a PQ.
I'm open. Or two. So last time we ran the podcast, we had 1,300. We're up to 1,343. Actually, when I made the slideshow last night, we were 1,339. I had to update it. Every week at this time. 43. Yeah, welcome on into the new 43. Hope to see you at a draft hangout. We get listener questions from our subscribers. And start, like I said, next week in 2 weeks, we'll be doing a full mailbag from everyone. But I don't think we answered this last week. I think we cut it off beforehand, but I think it still stands. Does the current meta and state of the game feel like the Wild Wild West? Less than 3 months into this, less than a month into set 3, seeing all kinds of unique decks finishing in top cuts winning, and very few things winning multiple events. Even if we did talk about it last week, I still think the meta remains diverse. Some Chancellor Palp Red deck won some the PQ yesterday, or no, CAD won the PQ, right? And then the Chancellor Red deck won.
CAD won the PQ.
Won another.
Chancellor Red, I think was the top deck. I think it was the 1 seed, if I recall correctly.
And then CAD won the event. Okay.
Yeah,
CAD won the top. I think it went undefeated.
Palp went undefeated in Swiss, but then lost in the top 8.
Yeah, and that was a TDR list. But yeah, I think the meta is pretty wild. I think there's still things that are out there doing well, and I think there's still some decks left uncovered. We've talked about it a little bit, but I still think that there's an overwhelming barrage deck that is hiding somewhere. And I ordered my these came yesterday. My last 2 hyper barrages. They actually are just like crazy.
If only you had the map.
If only I could get the map, that'd be crazy.
Anybody has a lead on that, holla at your boy.
Hit me up. Yeah, I do. Like, I wonder what the green deck we're missing is. I would love to see that, but I just think that there's so many different ways you can attack it, especially when we know what the good decks are. We know the good decks are Sabine, Bosk Blue, and Django, and then plenty of other stuff lying in wait. The Anakin Blues, the Quinlan Tarkin Towns. There's just, the Ray Blues. There's so much that you could play right now. I think it's going to be a wild set 3.
Super diverse. I don't know about Wild Wild West, because I feel like Wild Wild West, you wouldn't know what's good. It would just be like sort of like totally crazy. We do know what's good. I think it is clear that like Django's really, really good. I think it's clear that Sabine is really, really good. That Bosk Blue is really, really good. That CAD now is really, really good. That the Anakin deck is like a thing, right? And it's really good. But like, if there was full Wild Wild West, you'd see top 8s with like, Watt Temblar and stuff like that. You don't totally see that. Like, you see like pockets of exploration, like the Palpatine thing. I think a lot of people have been trying to make that Palpatine work. So you are seeing like the PQ overseas yesterday. I think it was like a couple Sabines, and it was a Bosk, and it was some CADs. Like, it was pretty. Like, the top 8s as a whole are pretty set, and then there might be like 1 or 2 decks that kind of surprises people in those. So I think definitely diverse, and definitely room for exploration, but also there's some clear strength there in the meta too.
All right, next question from Fudgy. Based on the early meta, what do you think is the best type to have on a card? I love this question because I love types. He says vehicle for TDR, Underworld, Force. What is shaped up to be contenders in your view? What is underperforming?
This is an easy one for me.
Yeah, Rebel.
Yeah. I think Rebel. It's two, like Wing Leader, Fleet Lieutenant, Medal Ceremony.
we had a
All the
spark
cards
draft
in-
between us yesterday, and I first picked Wing Leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that deck was dirty.
yeah, a lot of my heroic lists right now, I do start with Rebel. Like I build blue, yellow, Ray with Rebel. I build Anakin and Quinlan with Rebel because of
Right.
how insane Wing Leader
You saw
and
the
Fleet Lieutenant are.
Han Rebel lists.
Yep.
As well, set 2, right? They were
Yep.
pretty solid.
And even my Han 2 red deck, I was testing with Alex last night. He was on Han yellow, and just still using your line of like Fleet Lieutenant to kill tech is so huge.
Right.
Like he slammed a turn 2 tech in hopes of doing
Right.
DJing me
DJ. Yeah.
and
you killed him.
early, and I was able to stop that on a dime and just pretty much win the game from there.
I think a takeaway here is that the traits are really important, though. Like that, all of these things are powerful. Like I think we're getting a consensus that Rebel's the number one. But like vehicle, obviously for TDR, but like Underworld, you're seeing that with like things like McClunky, and now there are 2 of them. Force has like the force throw thing, which is one of like the most broken things you can do if in certain games. So like these things really do matter. I think like I'm actually looking forward to seeing like Imperial get better in the future because like it feels like they're a little behind
Definitely
the Rebel synergies.
Yeah.
Like it'd be great if like Tie Advance is no Wing Leader, and the Snowtrooper guy is no Fleet Lieutenant. So like getting more Imperial would be cool. I think the tribal stuff's really good, and there's some flops with tribal too. Like there's some stuff that isn't really all that great. But I think Force, Underworld, Vehicle, Rebel are definitely like super super powerful.
Yeah, and I don't think you can really compare them as like best to have, because if you can find the right situation, just having that tribal effect work, because like obviously there's so many Underworld cards, but like finding the right ones for your Underworld deck is great. Like you want to build the deck around it, and you can like, even though the Imperial one is underpowered, you can still run like a Tarkin or like a space deck that does focus on those Imperial cards.
We need Mando to get better so we can heal some Mandos.
Yeah, I'd love to see
Feels
Mandos.
kinda
I'd love to see Mandos get
Yeah.
better, because they do have some cool cards like the Armor, like Foundling. But
Yeah.
yeah, kind of a letdown. I'd like to see Spectre get better. I'd like to see Mando. I don't know. Is there any other trait that like needs
Bounty Hunter.
Bounty Hunter is pretty good. It just doesn't. It's not like because it's a bounty hunter. Like cards are good, and
Yeah.
obviously you can do like now there
Relentless
are 2 of them.
Pursuit? Yeah.
But there's like the actual
I guess we have Republic now.
benefit.
Yeah, Republic has been kind of a letdown.
That was a
Yeah.
flop. Like the 1/4 who was like a fleet lieutenant wasn't. At first we were like, oh, it's going to be the new rebellion. No,
Yeah,
just
right.
like the movies.
Maybe it's thematic on purpose.
All right, Apollo asks, what are the strongest counters to Django Red Space? Like, what would you include in a deck, playstyle, sideboard considerations? What are you guys thinking as enemies of Django?
I think it's deck specific. Like obviously, like if you're Sabine, Bright Hope's like really really good, and there's some other things like there's approaches. So like I can speak from the Sabine side. I'm like, okay, Bright Hope's clearly good as like just a direct counter to space, but then understanding the matchup and recognizing, for instance, I really like Heroic Sacrifice post board against Django because I'm understanding the matchups. When I play the game, it's very close most of the time, and it's like an action type of game where like first action on turn 5 or second action on whatever it is. So being able to sort of play those type of cards is really good. And obviously, I think like other decks would have similar like avenues. If you're playing against Django and your Han, like do you want to play like another bounce spell, or what sort of matters at that point? That'd be what I would say. Is like there's the direct counters, like Space Sentinels. Daring Raid is also really good against Django.
Yeah, Daring Raid would have been my contribution to the conversation. I think it's really tough to play Django on its own battlefield because that P-38 just kills so many things. Like there's just no ship that it really can't deal with on its own. Bright Hope is probably, as Justin said, the best, but like it still does 5 on its own, if it needs to.
Right.
And if it's something
Yeah,
like
that's
if you're
wild.
playing against a Bright Hope deck, you can just save the Tarkin Town for
Dark in town.
that to
Yeah.
like help deal with it. So there aren't too many ways for you to fight in space. Anything with 4 or 5 health just gets wrecked by P38. So it's really tough. But racing it, being in the other arena are things that are
Proactive.
really good against
Restore.
it. Um,
Yeah,
Restore on the
restore
ground.
the ground.
Restore
When it's
Wrecker has
far.
been really good at
Wrecker's
clearing
really good.
clearing Django at the start of a turn, right? As you've been doing to me, Justin. So like you
Yep.
don't get any taps for a turn is a really good way to race. So or just like any way to deal with Django, to limit their taps. Just don't let them pop off against you, tapping everything.
Yeah, being proactive, I think, is important. Like you can't just sort of because like think like they're a really aggressive deck, but they actually have like a pretty resilient end game. Like Ruthless Raider and Fet's Fire Spray and Django at the end. It's like you got these sort of sticky units. So if you're like a mid ranger or aggro deck in your own right, you can't just say, "Oh, cool, I'm going to play 3 Bright Hopes and just like win the long game," because they can still win the long game. So you have to still be as aggressive as you can be too. Otherwise, you'll just get pinged to death by Ruthless Raiders.
Yeah, and even Bosk Blue, even like versions that are really angled against Django, still can't always keep up with the endless onslaught of Ruthless Raiders, and they super laser blast, and then they get fire sprayed, and then you have to deal with the fire spray that just did 5 damage to you, and they get to rebuild. So,
Right.
it's just strong and resilient. But I think being, like as Justin said, be proactive, play some daring raids or cheap removal, restore, like Steve said. I'd say those are the big 3. All right. The viability of a non-control playstyle for blue-black leaders. The flavor of blue villainy leaders seems to trend towards hard and soft control, given the cards available. Do newer leaders such as Nalase open the possibility of being played in a different style, such as aggro or mid-range at the competitive level? What do you guys think about this? Can there be a blue villain deck that isn't control?
I don't know. The Nalase is interesting because with all of the clones, like you can kind of get like a faux Sabine type deck. But at that point, why are you not just playing Sabine?
Right. What does blue villain offer you? And
Yeah.
oftentimes the thing blue villain offers you are insane control cards, like Avenger, Snoke, um,
Right.
Super Laser
Like I
Blast.
think there's viability there, but if you're going that route, you're probably just better off playing one of the other leaders that plays into that better.
Yeah, I think you could make a case for some mid-range and tempo decks. Like there were some blue Boba Fett's that could play tempo. Blue Tarkin was kind of
Right.
showing up a little bit at the end of set 2. Because the thing that blue does offer you, even if it's not blue villain, is spot removal, right? Event removal, things like 1-for-1 kills. So if that's what you're looking for in your mid-range deck, then that's available to you in Nalase or any blue leader like Gar Saxon or whatever. But as aggro, I don't like. They just don't have a lot of early units. I think Kira kind of like she's not a blue villain leader, but she can at least activate all the grit. Steve and I talked about grit on our set 4 video, and like Kira can at least turn the grit on, which makes for some pretty interesting ways to attack the meta. I mean, I really like the Biker Scout, the Hillabon Enforcer, the new Devastating Gunship, all really good with Kira, and the Devastating Gunship can win the game on its own. But it's really tough to activate grit. They haven't given us another grit leader, right?
Chewie.
Like, sort of like
Oh, and Kira is
Brandon.
blue. I don't know what I'm saying, but
Yeah,
Kira is
Kira's
blue.
blue. I was gonna say like the barrage thing that we were talking about earlier of like you're trying to find the best barrage deck, and I think like coming out of set 2, like Kira was a control deck, but it also wasn't a control deck. It would play like Long Pike and like sort of aggro you out a little bit, like pretty frequently. It still had Vaders in the way to go like later, but it wasn't just sitting back. Like it was an ECL deck. It was playing Gideon, the 5/5, who would like make your whole. It would kind of take over the game pretty quickly if it could. Um, so I think Kira, again, to echo your point, Mike, seems like that deck, but I think Django holds a lot of these decks hostage. Like the fact that they get a free kill and they play Ruthless Raider. Ruthless Raider is so good against these decks. Um, Django, I think, is something that the blue villain like MIDI control decks just really don't want to see, and Django's everywhere.
Yeah. All right, that's it for questions. I think we've covered everything on here. Congrats to Matty. We do it our giveaway. Make sure the link for the form is in the description of both the podcast and the YouTube. We did our Draft Hangout World Tour. We talked about set 4 mechanics, listener questions. Anything else you boys want to talk about before we break?
No, I'm excited for London. We got to get planning on that. It's going to be super cool. Excited to PQ. Star Wars Unlimited's looking hot right now. I'm pretty hyped.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was driving home last night, I was pretty exhausted, but I was also like jacked up on adrenaline from the weekend. Like the whole draft hangout. It's all like a lot of great things going on right now, and it's easy to get the doomsday sayers and all that kind of stuff. But I think we're heading in the right direction, and FFG's going to give us some sweet OP, and we're just going to be cranking, baby.
Yeah, and I'm just excited for more times like this. And then, this was 30 people. Magnify that by, I don't know, how many do I have to multiply 30 to get to 1,000, Justin, for Worlds? Like, Worlds is just going to be crazy.
Right. Yeah.
33?
I think, yeah, there you go. Steve's got the math on deck. Yeah, Worlds is going to be crazy. And also just like, this is going to happen in all these towns and other towns that we haven't hit yet, right? Like, we're going to have these pictures at a Harry Potter looking bar in London, right? We're going to have these pictures on ATL.
In a Hermione tent, yeah.
You're going to be... You're going to be doing the ones in Atlanta, like with Little John, like drafting Star Wars Unlimited. We're going to have like the Cali. You're going to be like at a winery, like spinning the wine glasses. You know what I mean? Like with the people. Like it's going to be so sick. And I might actually be able to arrange that. Yeah, it's going to be insane. At New York City, we're going to be in suits. It's going to be a time.
Yeah, sweet.
A lot of time.
All right, hit us up if you want us to come to your town. Hit us up if you want to come to one of these on our stops. And definitely come see us at Worlds so you can get your cool map. And, talk to you guys next time.
Later, boys.